Hello, welcome to yoga. This is Lulu. She's going to be the star, your instructor today. No, we are not at the studio, as you can see. We're lucky enough to be filming today from my mum's house, where we're staying at the moment. So from our home to your home, I hope you enjoy. You're just going to stand here? Yes? All right. So finding a comfortable seat, I am sitting up on a throw from one of Mum's couches that I've just rolled up, and it acts as like a nice comfy little block. So if you want to prop yourself up on something, that's a really good idea. Also, if you want to have a cushion by you for your Shavasana, that might be a good option. Not something that we'll definitely need, but it's always nice to have props by your side. I've just got a basket that I'll use instead of a block if I need one. So anything that you might want to prop your hand up, just as we're going to move through a couple of little balancing sequences. So taking a moment to grab anything that you need. And then settling into your seat. We'll start in Sukhasana, cross-legged position. If this is uncomfortable, taking anything else that works best for your body today. And taking a moment just to settle into your space. And when you feel comfortable, close your eyes. Notice how your other senses intensify as the eyes close. Maybe noticing what you can hear, the loudest sound, and the softest sound. Noticing what you can feel on your skin, maybe the texture of the clothes against you, maybe the temperature of the air in the room. Notice what you can smell or taste without judgment or expectation. Just really tuning in to the now, wherever you are. Allowing all external distractions to become a little quieter. Everything that is going on outside of your space starts to soften, starts to fade. And we begin to focus on the sound of our breathing. As it enters and leaves the body, how does your breath sound today? Maybe it's quite quiet, but there is a sound, so search for it and let your awareness fall on it. Allow it to become the loudest sound in your awareness. We're going to be breathing in and out through the nose through our practice. So closing down the mouth now and focusing the breath in through both nostrils and out through both nostrils. Focusing on the tip of the nose and how it feels as you breathe. And then slowly start to follow the path of your breath. The cool air enters the nostrils, moves through the nose, down the back of the throat, down into the lungs, and we feel the belly rise. And as you exhale, the diaphragm flattens. We draw the breath back up and out through the nose. Inhale, follow the breath in and down, maybe taking it a little deeper. Exhale, follow the breath back up and out. Inhale through the nose, follow the breath in and down, and once you're full of breath, just take a little moment to pause, observe how it feels. And use the exhale, slowly follow the breath up and out. Take a moment to pause, empty of breath, notice how it feels. Inhale, fill with breath. A slight pause. Exhale, empty of breath. A slight pause. Keep this going, becoming aware of the 4 parts of our breath. So we're not just inhaling and exhaling, but there are little moments of quiet, both at the top of the breath and the bottom of the breath. And seek these moments of quiet, of peace. Let's acknowledge their existence. You might want to keep this going if you are pregnant or if you're just not feeling very steady in your breath today. Otherwise, we're going to start to extend the retention at the top of the breath, just for a couple of counts. So if you're comfortable with this practice, come with me. Otherwise, continue breathing long, steady breaths with a little pause at the beginning and a little pause at the end. So let's inhale deeply through the nostrils together. Exhale completely through the nose. Let's inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause the breath. Feel it in the body. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. A little pause. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. One more round together. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale as deeply as you can. Open the mouth, take a slow sigh out. Bringing the breath back in and out through the nostrils now. Inhaling through the nose as deeply as you can. Exhaling through the nose completely. And let's keep the eyes closed. On the next inhale, draw your shoulders up in toward your ears. And as you exhale, roll the shoulders back and down, shoulder blades toward the kidneys. 2 more times. Inhale, shoulders draw forward and up. Exhale, back and down. And one more full breath in. And complete breath out. As you inhale, reach the arms all the way up toward the ceiling. Let's keep the eyes closed. As you exhale, release the hands slowly back down by your sides. Again, inhale, reach the hands high toward the ceiling for the length of the spine. Exhale, hands melt back down by your sides. Uniting movement and breath one more time. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, send the arms all the way up, and we're going to interlace the fingers at the top, and then bring the palms behind the head. The next breath in sends the elbows wide, lift your chest, lift your face. And exhale, draw chin to chest, elbows draw together in front of the forehead, back of the neck lengthens. Just 2 more times. Inhale, starting to create movement through the shoulders. Exhale, drawing the elbows toward each other. One more deep breath in. And full breath out. Inhale, reach your hands back up toward the ceiling. Release the interlace of the fingers and press the palms together. Then exhale, draw your prayer down to your heart center. Anjali Mudra. If you have an intention that you wish to set for your practice today, take a moment to do so here. It can be absolutely anything that comes to you in this moment, something to dedicate your practice to, something to inspire your practice today. Once that intention has settled, softly blink open the eyes. And releasing your Anjali Mudra, we're going to come into a tabletop. So if you were sitting up on something, just popping that out to one side. And then coming to your tabletop, knees underneath hips, wrists underneath shoulders. Spread the fingers wide, grip down into the fingertips, so we've got a nice stable base through our hands. And then as you inhale, all we're going to do is tilt the tailbone up toward the ceiling. So imagine you have a tail and you're drawing it high to your ceiling. Use the exhale, tilt the tailbone down between the legs. So imagine you have a tail and you're drawing it down between your knees. Keeping the movement as much as possible just through the lower back. Inhale, tailbone tilts up. Exhale, tailbone tilts down, and really feel your belly button draw up towards your lower back. We'll go for one more deep breath in. Long breath out. Inhale, come back to a neutral lower spine. So there's still a slight draw of belly button to lower back. Pelvic floor is engaged. And we're going to take the movement up into the shoulders instead. So keeping the lower back as still as possible now. How can we find movement through our shoulder blades? So press down into the hands. As you inhale, press the space between the shoulder blades up toward the ceiling, and it feels a little bit like we're crawling through the upper back, not drawing chin to chest, just taking the movement through the shoulders. As you exhale, allow the chest to sink down toward the mat and feel your shoulder blades start to squeeze toward each other. We'll do this twice more. Inhale, press away, protract the shoulders, space between the shoulder blades lifts high. And then exhale, sink through. Once more, inhale. And exhale. Inhale, come back to neutral. So there is a slight press away, a little lift of the space between the shoulder blades without it being all the way up. We're going to unite those two movements and come into our Biralasana, cat-cow. So nice and slowly, imagine the movement starts at the tailbone and draws right up the length of the spine through the crown of the head. As you inhale, tilt the tailbone up, stretch the belly out, start to track the chest, and then the gaze forward. Travel the movement back down as you exhale, chin to chest, curl the upper back, middle back, tilt the tailbone down. Drawing the movement up the spine, tailbone tilts up first, belly stretches out, chest forward, gaze forward. Exhale, chin to chest, protract the shoulders, press the middle back up, tilt the tailbone down. We've got one more round. Inhale, pull the breath up, send the heart through, gaze forward. Exhale, draw back down and turn in. Inhale, let's come back to our neutral spine. Have a look, make sure your hips are over your knees. We're going to keep them there. As you exhale, start to walk the hands forward, reaching through the tips of the fingers, softening the chest, the heart space down toward the mat. Now, if this feels quite strong, first thing on the shoulders, you might want to bring something underneath your forehead just to give it some support. Otherwise, if it's accessible today, let's bring the forehead right down to the mat. Arms reach as long as possible. So notice if you've started to bend the elbows, we lose the shoulder stretch the more we bend the elbows. So reach your arms as straight as you can. Keep the hands shoulder distance apart where possible. Forehead sinks toward the mat or something that will give it support. Keeping hips over knees. And let the exhale really settle you down toward your mat. This might be more than enough, but if you're feeling like you could go for a little bit more heart opening, we have the option to lift the head and draw the chin down to the mat as well. Now this can be quite strong, so if we take that option and it doesn't feel quite right, we'll go forehead back down. Otherwise, perhaps chin comes down and we look forward. Eventually, the heart space might come down to rest on the mat as well. Taking a few deep breaths and notice what happens to your breath here, especially if you're looking forward, it can feel constricted. Let's keep the breath as long and steady as possible. Notice a slight engagement of the pelvic floor, or draw up of belly button to lower back. All right, on the next inhale, we're all gonna lift our heads away from the mat and look forward. Your forearms are parallel, spread the fingers, press into the elbows, roll forward until your shoulders come up over your elbows. If you're still tilting your tailbone up, now let's draw belly button to lower back, lengthen out the lower back, and then we're gonna tuck the toes just to walk the knees back and come down onto our hips into our Sphinx pose. So once you've lengthened down, untuck the toes, feet are still about hip distance apart. Press down through the tops of the feet, lift the kneecaps. Press down into the mat with your pubic bone and imagine you're trying to draw your pubic bone up toward your belly button. Press down through your elbows, lift out of the shoulders, and then imagine you're drawing your sternum through toward the front of your mat. Roll your shoulders back, your shoulder blades down your upper back. So we're not just collapsing into this. This is really nice and active. The points that are pressing into the mat are all drawing forward, except for the hands and the elbows, which are drawing back to send the chest between the upper arms. You might want to stay here. This might be more than enough, or keeping all that activation specifically through the belly. As you inhale, maybe pressing into your hands, shining your chest forward, lifting the elbows. Nice and slow as you exhale, if it's accessible, elbows lower back down. Make sure the forearms stay parallel. 2 more breaths. Inhale, lifting. Belly button to lower back, chest shines. Exhale, elbows come back down, slow and controlled. 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. Let's all inhale here together. And then on the exhale, slowly start to draw the hands back, plug the elbows back to lower the chest and the face down toward the mat. From here, left hand is going to stay underneath left shoulder. Right cheek is going to come to the mat. Right arm is going to go long at shoulder height, palm faces down. So right arm reaches long, right cheek is on the mat. Left hand is under left shoulder, left knee bends, and we roll onto our right side. This is a little bit like a game of Twister. So what we're aiming to do here is open that right shoulder. Should feel a nice big stretch across the top of the right shoulder. Make sure your right cheek is still heavy. We're not lifting the head or jarring the neck. And the more you draw the left knee back, we also find a nice little twist out for the lower back. So if that feels good, you might want to come a little bit more around. Take a couple of long breaths. And we're going to start to straighten out the left leg and roll back onto the belly. Swap sides, left cheek comes to the mat, right hand comes underneath right shoulder, left arm extends out to the left at shoulder height, palm faces down. Then as you inhale, bend the right knee, roll onto your left side, make sure the left cheek stays on the mat. Right foot might come down behind your left leg, and we can use this to roll back a little more and find that little twist if that feels accessible. And really starting to squeeze the space in between the shoulder blades, open across the outsides of the shoulders, the outsides of the upper arms. And each shape that we land in, especially the ones we spend a little bit of time in, check back in with how you're breathing. Where do you breathe into here? And where do you breathe out from? How does the breath sound? How does it feel? And then slowly we straighten out through the right leg and roll back onto the belly. And once you're back onto the belly, hands come underneath shoulders. Press down through the palms, draw the elbows in toward the sides of the waist. Lift the head, look forward. Let's tuck the toes under, press into hands, press into knees, lift up toward a tabletop. It might be a little bit long. Take the knees out wide, hip distance or even as wide as the mat. Bring the big toes together to touch and press hips back to heels. Take a moment, lengthen the forehead down toward the mat, reach the arms forward in front of you. Our Balasana, our child's pose. This is a really nice one to rest in at any point through our practice today. We're going to be moving for quite a while, so whenever you need, come back to this shape. If this doesn't feel great on your knees, a really nice alternative or adjustment is to grab your throw or your blanket, roll it up like a long sausage, and you can just pop it in between the thighs and the calves, and this just gives the knees a little bit more space. So if you're feeling a bit of either pain or just a bit of a crunching feeling, this just gives the knee a nice bit of space as you come down. So that's a good option, and you all have something at home that we can use to support that. Otherwise, big toes together, knees wide, forehead toward the mat or supported by something else, arms reach long in front of us. We're going to start to make this more active. So press down into the fingertips, lift the palms and the elbows away from the mat, and then walk the fingertips a little bit further forward. And once the fingertips are further forward, bring the palms and elbows back down for the length of the spine. On the next inhale, we're going to lift the head and look forward. Forearms are parallel. Slowly press into the elbows, roll up. Tuck the tailbone under. Press into the palms, roll forward. Imagine that you're trying to touch your chin between your thumbs. Inhale, press back up. And exhale, press back. 2 more times. Inhale, press up, push out of the shoulders. Exhale, chin toward the space between your thumbs. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, press back. One more time, then we're going to switch it up a little bit. Inhale, come up. Press out of the elbows, out of the shoulders. Exhale, lean it forward. Inhale, come back up. And exhale, lean it back. Okay, inhale, lift your head, look forward. The elbows stay exactly where they are. The fingers are going to interlace. Now you might want to point out through your pointer finger or your pinky finger just to really make the top of that triangle a little bit pointier. Might feel a little bit more stable, otherwise you can just keep the fingers interlaced. From here, inhale, look forward, press into the elbows, roll forward. Exhale, tap your chin down toward your thumbs. Notice the difference with the shifting of the hands. Inhale, push back up. And exhale, press back twice more. Inhale, keep pushing out of the shoulders. Exhale, lean forward. Inhale, tuck that tailbone under. Exhale, lean back. Once more, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, release the interlace of the fingers, separate the palms, press the palms down into the mat. Inhale, lift your head, look forward. Let's roll up toward our tabletop. Draw knees in underneath hips, separate the feet to hip distance apart. Tuck the toes under. Spread the fingers a little wider. Start to press down and forward through your hands, like you're trying to push the front of the mat away from you. This action sinks your hips toward your heels. So track the front of the mat as far away from you as you can. Pick your knees up, pull them in toward your armpits. Hips toward heels, knees toward armpits. Keep pressing down and forward, and then start to lift the sit bones up toward the ceiling, coming toward your downward facing dog. But we're going to stop before we get all the way there. Keep the knees generously bent. Press down and forward with the hands even more, drawing chest toward thighs. And then if you've really started to collapse through the chest, if you're nice and open with the shoulders, we don't want to be just sinking fully into this. So start to roll the armpits toward each other like they're turning to have a conversation. And this will just activate around the shoulders a little bit more. So we're working from a point of stability rather than maximum flexibility. Lift and spread the sit bones, draw the belly button to lower back. Feel the pelvic floor engage. And come back to your breath. How do you feel? As you breathe here, you'll notice the body move slightly with each breath. Allow that to happen. This is a very root of our flow. The inhale expands the body, and the exhale contracts and softens. The inhale creates space, and the exhale encourages us to surrender. On your next inhale, roll right up to your tippy toes. Lift your hips, lift your heels. Start to pull your shoulders forward. They come over the wrists. As you exhale, slowly, carefully bring the knees down. Keep the toes tucked. Inhale, stretch the belly out. Tilt sit bones up, gaze forward. Exhale, chin to chest, curl the spine. Press down into the knees. Inhale, lift the hands away from the mat and reach up toward the ceiling. Then as you exhale, circle the hands down behind you and interlace the fingers behind your lower back. Press the heels of the hands together as much as we can. Draw the elbows toward each other, roll the shoulder heads back. And then we're going to pull the hands toward the back of the room. Start to shine the chest toward the front of the room. Take a deep breath in, and then use the exhale, send your right foot forward, and we're coming into a lunge. So we're not going to go to our maximum length of lunging. Starting nice and stable. Right foot is in line with the right hip, left knee is in line with the left hip. Keep your back toes tucked under. Draw your tailbone down toward the mat as you pull your hands back. Start to lift the chest up toward the corner of the wall and the ceiling in front of you. I'm taking a few breaths here, really starting to feel it in those shoulders. And then we're going to use an exhale to draw the hands back down toward the lower back. Release the interlace of the fingers. Keep the legs, keep the hips as they are. Inhale, let's sweep the arms up. Exhale, sweep the hands forward and down. Inhale, sweep the hands forward and up. Reach, lift and lengthen toward the ceiling. Exhale, forward and down. And we're going to keep this going, or we're going to add on. Inhale, reach the hands forward and up. You have the option to pick that back knee up, squeeze the inner thighs. Exhale, slowly lower the knee down as you reach the hands forward and down. Just 2 more times. Inhale, using the options that feel best for you today. Exhale. One more, long breath in. And full breath out. Keep the back knee down, untuck the back toes. Inhale, sweep both arms back up and pull your hips back. Press into your right foot, flex the right toes up, hips stay even. As you exhale, circle the hands forward and down, hands come underneath the shoulders. Let's just go fingertips on the mat so we have a nice bit of space. Inhale, send the chest forward between the upper arms. Exhale, soften toward your right leg. It does not need to be a big movement. 2 more breaths like this. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more, full breath in. And complete breath out. And then inhaling, lifting your chest, looking forward, bringing your right hand to the inside of the right leg. We're going to flick ourselves around. So coming to face the side of your mat. Your right heel and your left knee are in line. Your right toes point toward the side of the mat as well. So the outside edge of the foot comes parallel with the front of the mat. Let's bring hands to hips, not hips to hands, and check in with where your hips are in space. You want your hips to be parallel. So plugging the right hip down, acknowledging the stretch that creates through the right inner thigh. Roll the outside edge of the right foot down onto the mat as you anchor. Check back in with the hips. Inhale, let's reach both arms up. Keep the hips even. Exhale, circle the hands forward and down, fingertips to the mat underneath the shoulders. Hips stay even. Inhale, send your chest forward. Elbows draw back toward the hips. As you exhale, take a little roll down, forehead toward the mat. Keep plugging your right hip down. 2 more breaths. Inhale, roll up like a wave. Exhale, roll back down. 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, let's roll it back up. Keep checking in with the hips. Hands stay underneath the shoulders. You can stay here if this is already feeling quite strong. Otherwise, let's start to walk the hands forward evenly. Lowering once again, chest and forehead down toward the mat. So this is a very similar shape to our Anahatasana, which we came into earlier, opening the heart space, but this time with one leg out to the side. We're just adding in a hip opener. So plug that right hip down to keep it even with the left as you lower it down. Anything can come under to support the forehead as needed. Take a few big breaths here. Noticing where you feel this the most. It might be shoulders for some, it might be hips for other, or right inner thigh. It might be somewhere completely different. So honoring your body, honoring how you're feeling in this shape And feeling free to adjust as needed. And if your forehead is down on your next inhale, lift your head, look forward toward your hands, and walk your hands back in underneath your shoulders. We're keeping the outside edge of the right foot anchored down. We're going to walk the hand out to the left until the left hand comes underneath the left shoulder. Left hand is in line with the left knee, which is in line with the right heel. As you inhale, sweep your right arm up toward the ceiling. As you exhale, extend your right arm overhead, palm faces down. Feel the lengthening out of the right side body. Let's inhale, send the right arm back up. And then again, exhale, reach the right hand forward. One more deep breath in, reaching up. And then exhaling, reaching forward. And now you choose, which space do you like better? Do you like that lengthening out of the side? Or do you prefer to reach up and feel yourself draw out of that left palm, out of that left shoulder? We're moving toward a side plank variation. This might be where you want to stay today. Left hip directly over left knee. Finding the lines the length of the body, hand either over or up. Otherwise, two more options. We're going to press into the left knee and start to reach the right leg up, taking a little bit more weight into the left hand and the left knee. You can have a play with flexing or pointing the toes. I prefer to flex because it activates both sides of the legs. Otherwise, right foot comes back down, and maybe we have a little bit of a play with lifting the left knee away from the mat, pressing out of the left shoulder. Wherever you are, let's hold for 3, 2, 1. If that left knee is lifted, bring it down. If that right foot is lifted, bring it down. If the right arm is reaching forward, let's reach the right arm up toward the ceiling. Look down to the left hand and then come up onto the fingertips, get nice and light. Inhale, come all the way up, shoulders over hips. Circle the hands around. We're coming back to frame the right leg, swinging the left toes back behind you. Bending the right knee, coming back into our lunge. Plant your hands down either side of your right foot. Tuck your left toes under, lift your left knee, press up and out of the shoulders. And step back, downward facing dog. As you land in your down dog, notice how you feel. Maybe you start to recognize any tendencies you have in this shape. It's when we come into quite often. And sometimes we come in and fidget around and move. Maybe we can come and just find a little bit more stillness to start with, so we can check in with what we need today, different to yesterday, different to tomorrow. And then if what you need is some movement, go for it. If you want to pedal out the feet, if you want to sway the hips. Otherwise, maybe just taking a few moments in this space. A few moments of stillness, just like that retention at the top or the bottom of the breath. Let's inhale together now. Exhale together. On the next breath in, roll up to the tippy toes, lift the heels, lift the hips, draw forward until your shoulders come over your wrists. As you exhale, drop the knees down, keep the toes tucked. As you inhale, stretch the belly out, chest and gaze forward, tailbone tilts up toward the ceiling. Then exhale, chin to chest, curl the spine, press down into the knees. Inhale, reach the hands high, coming up to a kneeling position, reaching the arms up. And then as you exhale, we're going to circle the hands around behind us, interlace the fingers. Press the heels of the hands together. Inhale, draw the hands toward the back of the room. Keep your shoulders over your hips. Draw your hands back, lift your chest up to the top corner of the wall in front of you, if there is a wall in front of you, otherwise imagine it. Pull the hands back a little bit more. Notice if you're tensing through the jaw or the neck, make sure that you can still move the head. Maybe open and close the mouth. Breathing. take a deep breath in together. Then use the exhale, step the left foot forward. Squeeze the inner thighs, tilt the tailbone down, lengthen up through the crown of the head. Pull the hands back and down, slightly lifting the chest. For 3, breathing here, really feeling this through the shoulders. 2, 1, let's draw the hands back toward the lower back, release the interlace of the fingers. Just moving the hands as you inhale, circle them forward and up. Allow some movement through the shoulders. It feels quite nice. Lifting the chest at the top and then exhale, circle the hands forward and down. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, forward and down. And we keep this going, otherwise we add in those knee lifts. So squeezing the inner thighs. If you're coming with me, inhale, reach the arms forward and up. Lifting the back knee, tilting the tailbone down. Slowly, carefully, lovingly exhale, release the right knee down to the mat. Circle the hands down by your sides. 2 more times. Inhale, squeeze the inner thighs, draw in and up through your center line. Exhale, coming back down. 1 more deep breath in. And long breath out. Untuck the back toes, pressing to the top of the foot as you inhale. Sweep the arms up, pull the hips back. Flex your left foot, press the heel down, the toes up, pull the left hip back. Hips as even as possible. And then exhale, lean the hands forward and down. Walk your hands back so that they're underneath the shoulders, just fingertips on the mat. Give yourself a nice bit of height here. Inhale, send the chest forward between the upper arms, spine is long. Exhale, a slight softness through the elbows as you lower toward the left leg. It does not need to be a big movement. Maybe even just the idea of movement. 2 more. Inhale, lifting through the chest. Feel the breath draw into the body. Exhale, feel the softness that the out breath creates. 1 more deep breath in. And complete breath out. Then inhale, coming back to a lifted chest, walking your left hand to the inside of your left foot. And then we're going to swivel ourselves around. I'm going to come to face the other way so I don't have my back to you. So swiveling around until the outside edge of the left foot is parallel to the front end of your mat. Really roll the outside edge of the foot down, anchor down into it. Your left heel and your right knee are in line. Your right knee and your right hip are in line. And then let's bring hands to hips and come on to our knees. Find your hip bones and notice if your left hip bone is lifting up over your right, send it down. Find that stretch out the inner thigh. Okay, as you inhale, let's reach the arms up. And then as you exhale, circle the hands forward and down. Fingertips come to the mat underneath the shoulders. Inhale, lift through the chest, look forward. As you exhale, pull the elbows back toward you, roll down like a wave. Palms can come down. 2 more times. Inhale, roll back up. Exhale, roll down like a wave. Plug the elbows back toward the hips. 1 more deep breath in. And full breath out. Inhale, come back up, hands underneath shoulders. You might want to stay here if this is enough on the hips. Otherwise, using the exhale, we're walking the hands forward again. Hands stay shoulder distance apart. Chest starts to lower toward the mat. Forehead starts to lower. You might want to bring something in to support the head. Otherwise, just letting it hang heavy. Back of the neck is long. Maybe we find the mat, that's not necessary. If you are down, check if you've gone too low without paying attention to the alignment of the hips. Maybe come up a little bit, plug the left hip down some more. 3 breaths into wherever you're feeling this the most. It'll be a little different for each of us. on your next inhale, lift your head, look forward. Walk your hands back underneath the shoulders. And then we're going to walk the hands around until the right hand comes underneath the right shoulder. So one line from your right hand, your right knee, your left heel. Spread the fingers, press firmly into the palm. As you inhale, let's sweep the left arm up. And exhale, extend the over, feel length through your left side. Hello, plant. Inhale, send the left arm back up toward the ceiling, touch it. And then exhale, reaching forward. One more time, inhale, feel the lift up. Exhale, feel the lengthening out. And then up to you, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the help lifting out of that right palm, out of that right shoulder, the lightness here? Or maybe you prefer a little more stretch today by reaching the arm over, finding length through the left side of your body. We're going for our side plank variation, so whichever option you took on the other side, maybe staying here is perfect for you today. Or you might want to start to play with lifting that left foot off the mat. So I think on the other side I said the flex of the foot activates the whole leg. That's not true. It activates the front of the leg. But I find this makes my leg lighter than pointing my toes, which activates the back of the leg. So it'll be different for each of us again. Play with it. Feel out which one feels better for you. You can stay here. Otherwise, you might want to bring that left foot down. Pick the right knee up and have a play with this variation, pushing out of the right shoulder, getting as far away from the mat as you can, wherever you are, for 3, 2, 1. If that right knee is lifted, carefully bring it back down underneath the right hip. If that left foot is lifted, let's carefully bring the left foot down. Inhale, let's all send the left arm back toward the ceiling. Look down toward your right hand. Get light in your right palm, right up onto the fingertips. Lift all the way up. Exhale, circle around, frame your left foot. Swing those right toes back out behind you. Bend through the left knee, find your lunge, plant your hands either side of your left foot. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, lift your hips, and step back downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here. Lifting and spreading the sit bones, feeling length through the body. Maybe chest sinks a little closer toward the thighs. Keep rolling the armpits in, the outer arms in toward each other. On the next inhale, lift your hips, lift your heels, roll forward. Shoulders come over your wrists. As you exhale, bring the knees down, keep the toes tucked. Inhale, stretch the belly out, chest and gaze forward. Exhale, chin to chest, curl the spine. Press into the knees. Inhale, come all the way up, reach your hands up toward the ceiling. And then as you exhale, circle your hands down behind you. This time we're taking the hands to the lower back. Fingers face down, fingers spread out. Now I like to use my fingers just on that very tip of the tailbone or the top of the muscles, just to relax them down. Start to press the hips forward. You can keep your toes tucked or you might want to untuck them, whatever feels best for you. I like untucked. Press through the tops of the feet if that's the case. Hips forward, lift the chest up toward the ceiling, draw the elbows back as if you're trying to touch them together behind you. Make sure that you're still able to move through the head, the jaw, the face is relaxed, the heart is expanding for 3, 2, 1. Inhale, lift your head, look forward, come back up to center. Exhale, relax your hands down by your sides. Inhale, reach the arms forward and up. Exhale, circle the hands forward and down. Find your tabletop, tuck your toes under, and then press down and forward with the hands. Draw hips back to heels. Press the front of the mat away from you as much as you can, and then draw knees up into armpits. Lift and spread the sit bones, come to your downward facing dog. On the next inhale, the right leg is going to lift. Keep the hips even. Keep the foot flexed, toes point down, heel points up. And then use your exhale, draw your right knee forward to your nose. Inhale, draw your right knee a little higher, up toward your nose, up toward your chest. Use the exhale, step the right foot down between the hands. Now, if we didn't get all the way there, pick your right foot up, give it a hand, bring it forward, finding a nice big lunge shape. Inhale, come high up onto the fingertips. Pull your belly away from your right thigh. Track your chest forward on the exhale. Lighten the hands on the inhale. Draw the hands away from the mat. Pull the hands back beside you. Belly off thigh on the exhale. And then inhale, sweep the hands forward and up. Let's find our crescent lunge. Exhale, bring your hands down to your hips. We're going to come to our warrior two from here. So I'm once again going to turn around so I don't have my back to you. So we're in our lunge. We're going to pick that left heel up nice and high and then drop the left heel down to the center line of the mat. As you drop the left heel down, the left hip is going to pull back. Now look at where your feet have landed, and we're going to find one line between our heels today. So from your front heel to your back heel. And this might be a little bit different to what you've heard previously or done previously. There are lots of different lineages of yoga, so it doesn't mean someone is right, someone is wrong. There's just different ways of making each shape. And what's really fantastic about this, as a student of yoga, we get to understand what feels best for us and take those options. So today I'm teaching you what I prefer to do in my warrior two because it feels nicer on my lower back and my hips. So heel to heel alignment. This does mean that the left hip, so the back leg hip, is able to draw forward slightly. So just like our hips were square off, left hip is very far forward, we are pulling it back, but we're not pulling it behind the right hip. When we draw that left hip back behind the right hip, what happens often if we're quite tight through this area is this, that right knee pulls straight in. We don't want that to happen, that's really unhealthy for the knee. So draw it out, it tracks over the middle toes, let that left hip come forward as it needs to. What we don't want to happen is that left hip to lift up. So it draws forward, but the hips stay parallel to the mat. So my right knee forward, knee in line with hip, and then the left hip is not directly behind the right, it pulls forward slightly. This is so I can tuck my tailbone down rather than stick my bum out. So imagine you've got a tail again, point it directly down to the mat in between your heels. Shoulders stay fully over the hips. Roll the outside edge of the back foot down into the mat. Find that as an anchor point and for the length through the outside of the leg. Inhale, reach the arms up toward the ceiling. Exhale, take the hands down to shoulder height. Imagine there's a force pressing up into your hands, press back down into it. And then that force is going to get stronger. Inhale, send the hands up for the length of the body. Exhale, beat that force, come back down to your warrior two. Active through the arms. You might want to look forward if the neck is happy. Inhale. Exhale, warrior two. One more, full breath in. And long breath out. Inhale, bring the hands up. And we're going to pull the legs towards straight. And then exhale, bring your hands down to your hips. We're going to shorten our stance because we're in quite a wide stance. So shuffle the back foot forward a couple of foot distances, but keep the lines that you created. So heel to heel lines. I'm going to come back, otherwise I'm going to run into that plant. So shortening the stance to about a leg's distance apart. Front heel to back heel. Left hip is forward slightly, the lower back is nice and open. Make sure that left hip isn't lifting up, hips are still parallel. Inhale, reach the arms up for the length of the torso. Exhale, take the hands down to shoulder height, look forward. Preparing for our Trikonasana, our triangle. Squeeze the inner thighs. The legs aren't hyperextended, so keeping a micro bend through the knee does not need to be visible. Zip up through your center line, all the way up through the crown of the head. Big breath in. As you exhale, lean forward. Lengthen out the under right side. And then inhale, come back up. Exhale, reach forward. Lengthen out your right side. One more time. Inhale, come up. Exhale, lift and lengthen forward. Keep the body exactly as it is. Windmill the hands. Right hand comes down, left hand comes up. If this left arm up is too strong, bring it to the hip instead, so that we can find our lines rather than just having that up there reaching for the ceiling without any direction. All right, so if the arm is up, it's fingertips up so we can lift out of the right shoulder. Otherwise, hand to hip so we can roll the shoulder back and find that same lift. Squeeze the inner thighs. Imagine you're taking your belly button to the ceiling. So this isn't something we actually want to do, it's just a bit of a feeling. Squeeze the inner thighs, keep feeling that lift away from the mat, not too heavy in that bottom hand. In fact, that bottom hand might want to reach forward now. Keep the right side long. I know it's a big one on the core. You can stay here, or maybe reach the left hand forward as well for 3, 2, 1. Left hand reaches up, right hand reaches down. We're going for our balance. So we've found the foundation of this shape. Very similar shape as we come to stand on one foot. You might want to stay here today. You might be like, no, Nalini. 2 feet is good. Stay as you are. Otherwise, we're just going to flip the shape over a little bit by bending through the right knee, walking the right fingertips forward. This is where I might want to use my basket or any block-like thing you have for a bit of extra height. Here we go. And then we take the weight into the right foot, bring it out of the left, and lift up. So still in a Trikonasana, I'm still squeezing my legs toward each other. I'm not collapsing downward, but lifting out of the shape. Left hand is up toward the ceiling, or maybe left hand is to left hip. We roll that left shoulder back. Let a little bit of a wobble happen, stabilizing with the sole of the right foot. Hold on to your mat. For 3, 2, 1. From here, circling the left hand down, square off the shoulders, circling the left hip down, square off the hips, bend the right knee, step the left leg back, plant the hands either side of the right foot, step back down dog. Take a full breath in and a complete breath out. We'll take 2 more breaths. If you wish to move through a vinyasa, go for it. If you wish to come to a child's pose, go for it. Then we're going to come to the other side. So if you're down in your child's pose, coming back up and joining us here. As you inhale, it's the left leg that's going to lift up toward the ceiling, keeping the hips even, heel up, toes down. As you exhale, draw your left knee forward. And then inhale, draw the knee up toward the nose and the chest, create space. Exhale, step the left foot forward between the hands, maybe giving it a hand. Coming into a nice big lunge shape. Inhale, coming up onto the fingertips. And then exhale, sending the chest through toward the front of the room. Squeeze the inner thighs. Inhale, lift the hands away from the mat. Draw belly off left thigh. Exhale, reach the hands back behind you. Inhale, let's sweep ourselves up, crescent lunge. And then exhale, take hands to hips. And again, we're opening up. So just like we did last time, the right hip isn't pulling all the way back so it's behind the left, but it is pulling back. So we lift the right heel high, drop the right heel down. Find the lines from heel to heel. Back toes are turning in slightly so you can really roll the outside edge of the foot down. And because we're heel to heel, not heel to arch, we have a little bit more space to roll that right hip forward slightly. There is a big internal rotation of the back thigh. Really draw it in, lift the outer edge of the thigh up, bend through the left knee, hips are parallel to the mat. So we don't want to be tilting one up. If the hips are parallel to the mat, the shoulders are parallel to the mat, and that's what we want. Shoulders and hips in line. If you feel your left knee starting to pull in, engage through the inner thigh to press it out, but you also might want to roll that right hip forward a little bit more actively. So have a play with it, have a feel. And then press down through the soles of the feet, squeeze the legs inward as if you're trying to pull the feet together but they're stuck to the mat. Inhale, let's reach the hands up through your center line. Exhale, send the hands out to shoulder height. Imagine there's a force pressing up into your hands, press back down into it. Notice how that activates the underside of the arms. We're not holding from the top getting heavy, but we're holding from the bottom and lifting up. Okay, that force pressing up into our hands is going to win slowly. Inhale, reach the hands back up. And then beat that force. Exhale, take them back to shoulder height. Twice more. Inhale. Exhale, you might want to gaze forward over your left fingers. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. On the next breath in, inhale, pull your left leg towards straight. Squeeze the inner thighs. Keep the angle of the hips that you've created here. We're going to walk the back foot in, a couple of heel toes. So we're shortening the stance. We're not quite as wide. We can really squeeze the inner thighs now. Shoulders are still over your hips. Inhale, look forward. Lengthen your left side, your underneath side as you exhale. Reach the left hand forward. 2 more times. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, reach and lengthen forward. 1 more deep breath in. Long breath out, reach and lengthen forward, and then keep the angle that the body is making. It's just the arms that are going to move. Left down, right arm up. So we're not collapsing downward into this. We're lifting out of the shape. If right hand up isn't working today, bring it to your hip instead. Use that right shoulder to draw up and out of the left. No weight in the bottom hand. Strong through the center. Imagine belly button to ceiling. We're going to stay here, or we're going to reach the left hand forward. Keep leg through the left side. We're going to stay here, or we're going to reach the right hand forward and find a little more length through the right side without collapsing into the left. For 3, 2, 1. Right arm up, left arm down. Big breath in, stay in your triangle. Or we're going toward our Adho Chandrasana by flipping the shape over, bending through the left knee, taking the weight forward into the left leg, into the left fingertips, reaching the right leg up. Foot is still flexed. If you want a little more height in the shape, maybe coming up a little higher. All right, so this, we're not toppling forward quite so much, lifting up toward the ceiling. My foot is flexed, my heel is slightly above my toes because there is still that internal rotation of the right thigh. For 3, smile, breathe. For 2, for 1, and then we're looking down, the right hand is circling down. The right hip is circling down, square off your hips. Bend the left knee, walk your hands back, walk your right foot back. Press into your palms, step back, downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. Again, you have an optional vinyasa if that's calling to you, or you have a more restorative few breaths in your child's pose. All right, if you're in your child's pose, starting to make your way back up to your down dog. On the next inhale, we're going to roll forward, find our planks. Shoulders pull over your wrists. Know that you can drop the knees at any time. Shine the chest forward, draw the heels back for length of the body. For 3, 2, 1, both heels rock out to the left, press into your left hand, inhale, reach the right arm up for 3, 2, 1, right elbow is going to come down to the mat, so take your time, lift the heels and then roll both heels out to the right, lift the left arm up, your shoulder is over your elbow and you're pressing out of the shoulder for 3, 2, 1, right elbow is also going to come down to the mat, forearm plank, press the space between the shoulder blades up, and then drop the knees down and press hips back to heels. Knees together, feet together, otherwise you can take the knees apart if that feels better for you. Forehead to the mat, arms can come back beside you for our closed leg child's pose or full child's pose, Balasana. Take a few breaths. And what we're doing through our yoga practice, all these expansive, strengthening poses mixed in with all these softening, turning in shapes, we're teaching the body how to respond in a challenge. How can we stay soft and breathe and calm through a challenge? And then even if the breath starts to shorten and the heart rate starts to lift, we can come out of it and calm the body straight back down. We don't get stuck in that heightened state. So we're starting to teach ourselves that transition. You might want to stay here. Otherwise, we're going to have a little play on our forearms. So if you're coming with me, reach your arms back forward, Utthita Balasana. Stretching the arms, hands to shoulder height. Lift your head, look forward, and then bring your elbows down to the mat. Lift up, your shoulders are over your elbows. Bring your hands together. Actually, I'm going to give you an option. You can bring your hands together. Otherwise, you can keep your hands at shoulder distance apart. This is much harder because what happens is the elbows really want to splay out. And if it's just our palms on the mat, we don't have the support to keep the elbows toward each other. So if you are taking this option, keep the forearms parallel. If you feel like your elbows are starting to splay out, a handy little tip is actually drawing them in a little bit more. And then, because the skin is loose on the arm, rolling the arms out until the skin locks on your mat. Otherwise, we're going to bring the hands together, and I'm going to have my hands together today. I help find that this, interlacing the fingers, point through your pinky finger, the top of the triangle, helps me push out of my shoulders even more. And this is what we're going to focus on. So pressing out of the shoulders. Shoulders are over elbows. This might be more than enough. Otherwise, toes tuck under. And we're going to lift the hips up toward the ceiling, finding a variation of our dolphin. We want to be pushing out of the shoulders so much so that we can release the head down, look toward our toes, but the top of the head is not on the mat. So really pressing out of the shoulders, lifting the hips. If you have the space, walk your tippy toes in toward your nose. If you have the space, take your left foot off the mat, reach your left leg up toward the ceiling. What we're aiming here eventually is hips over shoulders, over elbows, and maybe that right leg floats up. That does not need to happen today. If the left leg is lifted, let's bring it down. If the knees are lifted, let's bring them down. Untuck the toes. Refine your Balasana, arms down by your sides. Just a couple of breaths. Check in with how you're feeling. Starting to creep the arms back forward, refinding your Utthita Balasana, that stretch, that lengthening of the upper body. Lift your head, look forward. We're going to roll up, shoulders come over wrists, grip into the fingertips, tuck the toes under. You can stay with your knees down or press back up to your full plank for 3. Pressing away from the mat, heels back, heart forward for 2. 1, drop both heels out to the right, press into your right hand, press out of your right shoulder, inhale, lift your left arm, keep hips up for 3, 2, 1. It's the left forearm that carefully finds the mat. Heels up and then out to the left. Left shoulder is over your left elbow. Press away. Inhale, maybe right arm lifts for 3, 2, 1. And then right elbow comes down to the mat as well. And we carefully find our forearm plank for 3, 2, 1. Dropping the knees down, pressing back, balasana. Taking a few breaths, allowing the body to respond. And again, you have the option to stay. Otherwise, if we're wanting one more little play on the forearms, reaching the arms forward, lifting the head. Choosing your option, forearms parallel or hands together. You might want to play with a different one. I'm going to keep my fingers interlaced today and really focus on the press out of the shoulders. Inhale, roll up. And play here. Sink your chest down as much as you can. Press the space between the shoulder blades up as much as you can. There's heaps of movement. As we lift, as we take weight into shoulders, we want to minimize this movement by continuing that press out. So we give our body space. Tuck the toes if you're lifting the knees and start to reach the hips up. Walk the tippy toes in toward the nose. Keep pressing out of the shoulders so that as you lengthen the back of the neck, the head does not touch the mat. Lift up, up, up through the hips. Stay here, or maybe the right leg lifts up. Right hip eventually comes over the shoulders, or hips eventually come over the shoulders, but we're still pushing out of the shoulders, not collapsing down in. If that right leg is up, let's bring it down. If the hips are up, let's bring them down. And then untuck the toes, feet together, forehead to the mat or a block or anything that can be supportive. Arms down, back behind the body, beside the body, my apologies. And then you can stay here, letting the shoulders relax forward, or we're going to reach the hands up, interlace the fingers, press the heels of the hands together behind the lower back. And from here, start to squeeze the shoulder blades toward each other. Reach the hands back behind you, and then up toward the ceiling, drawing the shoulder blades in and up. For 3, 2, 1. 2 options. You can release the hands, bring them back down underneath the shoulders to support your lift. Otherwise, use the interlace of the fingers, draw belly button to lower back, pull the hands up as if someone's got you by your hands and is lifting you all the way up into a seated position. Shoulders come up over hips, squeeze the shoulder blades a little bit more, lift the chest. Hands draw back and down for 3, 2, 1. Release the interlace of the fingers. Relax the shoulders. Let's all inhale together. Draw shoulders up into ears. Open the mouth. Exhale. Roll the shoulders back and down. Sigh the breath out. 2 more times. Inhale. Roll the shoulders forward and up. And sigh the breath out. 1 more big breath in. And complete exhale. And then rolling out onto one hip. And releasing the legs forward in front of us. Let's bring the legs together. Bring the hands down beside the hips. Lift the hips up a little bit and pull the buttocks flesh out from underneath you so you can really find the sit bones. Press into the heels, press into the sit bones. The knees can be as bent as they need to be. Flex the toes up toward the ceiling. Press down through the fingertips. Relax the shoulders back and down the upper back. Let's inhale, lift through the chest. And then exhale, draw chin toward chest, lengthen through the back of the neck. Keep the rest of the spine upright. Inhale, roll your right ear around to your right shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder. And exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, head through center, look forward toward your toes. Walk your hands a little bit forward if we can keep the lift. Stay here. If you've noticed yourself cow immediately, bring your hands back behind you, lift through the chest, stay here. All right, feeling the length of the torso, little tuck of chin into a collarbone so the back of the neck stays long. If your hands are forward and you feel you have space to keep a long spine as they creep forward slightly, do so. But not letting the ego take control. We're not trying to get toward our legs. Nothing happens when you're there. We're trying to keep length in the spine. So let's make this the goal. As if you're trying to take your chin past your big toes. Keeping the back of the neck long. Take a few breaths into wherever you're feeling this the most. And give yourself a little bit of compassion and a little softness on each exhale. And then as you inhale, coming back up, if you did take the fold forward, we are going to come into our Gomukhasana, which translates to cow face pose. I am yet to see the face of the cow in this, so if anyone does, please let me know. I like to give my hips some height here, so I'm going to roll up my blanket and pop it underneath my hips. If you have a block, that would work better, so you can sit up on your block. Okay. So if you want to prop yourself up, making sure the sit bones feel even, which is why a block is a little bit better. All right, feet are out in front of you. Left hand is going to go underneath the left leg to grab the right ankle, and then we're going to pull that right foot through toward the outer side of the left hip and press the knee down toward the mat. And here we might already be like, oh, hello hip. This might be enough. And we can stay here with this modification just by drawing that left foot in a little bit, sitting up nice and tall. Okay, next step is left foot crosses to the outside of the right knee. And again, this might be more than enough. You want to keep pressing the left sit bone down. If this is feeling okay, it's the left foot that comes around toward the outer edge of the right hip. So it's as if the knees are stacking. Now I find getting into this a little sticky. I like to take my hands to my feet, lift both hips up, and then as I come to sit down, on this side it's the left hip that we try to lower first, and then the right. So whatever shape you're making, at any variation along those, at any level along those variations, at any point along those variations, sit tall, lengthen up through the crown of the head, lengthen down through the sit bones. And we're just going to, if your knees are one on top of the other, place hands one on top of the other. Otherwise, taking the hands to a place that feels most natural. I'm going to sit tall here and we're going to breathe. So finding our Sitali breath. We've moved through quite a heating practice. So it's time to cool the body down. This breath is in through the mouth and out through the nose. So when we breathe in through the mouth, there's two variations you can take, and it really depends on how your tongue works. So the first option, if you can roll your tongue into a little donut, and we're going to breathe in through that tongue roll. So you're going to make a sound. You're at home, make as much sound as you can. So we breathe in either through the tongue roll, or if your tongue doesn't roll, really hard to talk and do it at the same time, I don't advise it. Take your tongue to the top teeth, and we're going to breathe in over that contact. So, inhale, pause, keep the mouth closed, and a slow exhale out the nose. Open the mouth, take the position of the tongue, inhale over the tongue and feel the cool air. Pause. And a slow, long exhale through the nose. And we'll go for 5 more together. Inhale. Exhale through the nose. Inhale. Exhale through the nose. 3 more breaths. And keeping the mouth closed, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Noticing the effects of that pranayama. And gently guiding yourself out of the shape, bringing your hands down beside you. Leaning back, and then uncrossing the legs. Feet come back in front of you. And we're going to go straight to the other side. So it's the right hand that reaches under to grab the left ankle. Left heel comes toward the outer edge of the right hip. This might be more than enough. Throw that right foot in. Find some support here. Sit up as tall as we can. Otherwise, the right foot is going to cross to the outside of the left knee. Both sit bones are grounded. And again, this might be more than enough. Sitting tall. Otherwise, that right foot creeps around to the outer left hip. And we aim towards stacking the knees. It does not need to happen today. Maybe shifting a little bit by picking the hips up and placing them back down. As you place them down, right hip lands first, and then left hip. All right, coming to sit tall. If you remember what hand was on top, take the other one on top. Just for variation. You can close the eyes and take a few big breaths. Okay, we're going to take a different pranayama on this side. So we've cooled the body down a little bit. And we're going to increase a sense of relaxation, of calmness, of softness before we make our way into our shavasana. So we're going to do our bumblebee breath, or Brahmari. This is an inhale and an exhale through the nose, but on the exhale we make a humming sound. So I feel like this feels to me like it's an om, but with the mouth closed. So there's a lot of vibration that happens around the lips, around the jaw. This practice can also be done simply visualizing the sound. I find it more effective to do the sound, but take the option that feels best for you. And we're going to go for 5 rounds. So closing down the eye, sitting long with the pillar of the spine, relaxing the rest of the body around it. Inhale through the nose, and hum on the exhale. as we come back into silence, feeling the space that is created. When you're ready, releasing the hands back down by your sides, blinking open the eyes, leaning back and crossing the legs. If you've propped your hips up, come off whatever you've propped your hips up on. Bring the feet in toward the hips, feet about as wide as the mat. We're going to inhale here, and then we're just going to melt the knees out to the left on the exhale. Inhale back to center. Windscreen wiping the knees over to the right as you exhale. And a couple more, other side, inhale. I like to pull this movement up into my shoulders as well. Exhale, I look over the right shoulder as knees go to the left. Maybe a little bit more twist. Inhale to center, only if that feels good. Exhale to the left. Inhale, come back to center. Positioning yourself on the mat so we can come to lie down. And then when you're ready, reaching the hands forward and exhale, C-curling the spine, rolling down all the way onto your back. And we're going straight into our Shavasana today. So take your time to settle. We've got a few minutes here, so we really want to be comfortable before finding stillness. If there's any last movements you feel you need to do, go for it. If you want to put a blanket on or prop a blanket or a pillow underneath your knees, go for it. And when you are comfortable, finding stillness and making the decision to allow yourselves to remain still. Sometimes when the body finds stillness, the mind wants to become more active. And if that's the case today, just observe that. And see if we can give ourselves release by coming back to the space we've created through our bodies, through movement, and around our breath, through pranayama. That space at the top and the bottom of each breath, the moments that we have, that sometimes get a little blurry or go unnoticed if we're focused outward. When we give ourselves the space and time to draw in, to look in, we can recognize the abundance, the whole universe that resides within us. And start to let your senses expand back out into the room around you. And noticing what you can hear. And what you can feel on your skin. Maybe there's a smell or a taste. Notice what you can see even with the eyes closed. Perhaps light, perhaps color that dances across the closed lids. And slowly invite more breath back to the body. Lengthening, deepening your inhale and your exhale. This breath encourages movement back to the physical body. Take your time. Move in any way that feels right now. In your own time, coming to your preferred side and taking a moment of rest there. Coming up into a seated position. Eyes can stay closed or maybe downcast as we find a comfortable seat. Turn the corners of your mouth up, a little smile inward, acknowledging your effort, and acknowledging the space we have created. Let's bring the palms together to press in gratitude, sending it both inward and outward to all things. Namaste. Thank you.